You want to explain the question, or you want me?
I can do it. So we're kind of leading into it anyways, which is nice. But we had one of our members online was sent in a question asking about kind of beginner level coaching, like we're kind of talking about a little bit now, and they were just curious, saying that they're starting to get into coaching and they don't have a ton of experience or a ton of people to look at in their area for as a good example of how to run a team when you're just starting out. So for the rest of the episode here, I want to talk about some coaching, or I want you to talk about some coaching themes or tips, or fill in the blank with whatever word you want to use, for coaches that are more beginner level. So
Okay, so it's beginner level.
More beginner
meaning
like
beginner coaches or
beginner
youth,
coaches,
like youth.
either. So if you're
Okay.
if you're just starting out being a coach, so we can
Yes.
cover like a couple different ages.
Okay.
So it's going to be in youth hockey.
Okay.
And let's say like on 50, well, I guess it could, you're probably not going to be a first year coach if you're coaching a draft year team.
Right.
But beginner level, so it'd be younger than that.
So let's say 11 and down.
Yeah, right. Something like that, 12 and down, whatever. Okay. Just starting out as a coach, and just some tips for structuring your team, skill stuff, actually training them on the ice, and then behind the bench, like how your coaching styles, and what you should be focused on behind the bench. Okay. So some of we'll try to keep it specific to that, because we've done as maybe a prelude to this, we did a episode called Coaching 101 where we touched kind of generally on a lot of these themes.
Yeah.
But here we're going to try to gear it more specifically to like the more beginner level stuff. Okay. So we'll keep it within that context for this episode, and then if people want something more specific in another area, we can do that too. So
okay,
yeah,
cool. So first of all, like anybody that wants to get into coaching, I'm like awesome, because we need good coaches, and preferably when you do it, you're in it for the right reasons, right? A lot of times people coach and when they're young, and you want to be competitive 100%. But we have to look at what level we're coaching. So we're looking at this younger level. I think the most important thing right now is to have a good development for them. And development comes in different ways. Development comes both on the ice, and it becomes your behavior off the ice. Not that you're teaching them to be good kids, but the message can't just always be about hockey, because it's not all about hockey. It's about life. Yep. Right. But being a hockey coach, as the statement I said a couple of weeks ago that I read, is that I guess a hockey coach has more influence than a lot of parents do.
Yep. So
this is a really important thing, is understand that a kid will look at you as a coach and he's going to think that you're awesome, or he's going to hate your guts, and kind of almost no in between.
Yeah, sorry, let me interrupt you for a sec, because this is just a little quick side story that I think was interesting. So last night I went to a graduation for a school that does some training here,
right?
And I run their class when they're here to do their training stuff. And so I was listening to the valedictorian do her speech, and she made mention of me specifically in the speech, and it was really interesting because I saw this particular class once a week for the year, so not a whole lot of time, but she made mention of me in the speech.
Unreal.
And so my point of that is, as a coach, you don't realize how much you end up impacting kids, or how much they can, and I'm not saying I had the biggest impact on these kids ever or anything, but just the fact that I was mentioned means that they think something of me. They pay attention to what I'm telling them, or however they value that, it means something to them. So as a coach, it's going in for the right reasons. That should be like number one, is you understand that the kids are going to be paying attention to what you're doing. So if one day you want to be a coach, and that's a reason why you're starting coaching, because you want to see it, that's fine. But if you're starting at the youth level, your number one concern, motivation, whatever, should be you're trying to help these kids be better in their sport and be better people,
and enjoy it.
And yeah, because that is what's going to happen, whether that's your goal or not. You're either going to make them enjoy it, do better, be better, or you're going to make them hate it, do worse, be worse. Yeah. Regardless of your motivation, you're going to get one of those two results. So understanding that is important. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. I'm glad you do. The next thing is it's good that you put yourself in the fire, get involved. Like a lot of people, it's the thinking about coaching and am I good enough? Like, especially if you're new. If you're new and you got a group of kids, it's like, as much as it seems simple, you got 8-year-old kids. I'll just go coach them hockey. You have to know a little bit about hockey, like a little bit, and you have to be. Um, you can't be intimidated by speaking to them about hockey because it's like they're looking for you for answers or whatever. And but you got to get in the fire and you got to get going. That's number one. And you're going to learn on the fly because the thing is that you're not going to know everything, even though you might be a. I'll tell you what, man, you can play hockey and then you go coach a team and it's going to teach or to explain things or to get a message across. You might say, I don't even know what I'm doing. Where do I start? Like, really, where do I start coaching a hockey team? How do I start?
Mhm.
Right? Picking positions, everything. Like, well, what kind type of? How am I going to get my message across to kids how we play hockey? So you have to start somewhere, but you have to start.
Yeah.
It's really important, and you're going to realize that you don't know everything. Even though you might have played, you don't know everything. You're going to learn a ton just by coaching kids and making your own mistakes and stuff. And the other thing that's going to be really important to know going in, no matter how nice of a person you are and how good your intentions are going to be, parents are going to give you a hard time. Period.
Yep.
It's you could be at the absolute lowest level of hockey at the youngest ages, and you're still going to have parents that are not happy. So just know that going in that's
That's not
non-negotiable.
personal
It's going to
necessarily.
happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
So be ready to deal with that. And then when parents have things to say, I mean, this is why I say this is the other thing is know why you're coaching, and know who you are and be yourself. Because if you try to be someone else, it doesn't work. You got to just know I'm making these decisions or making these decisions or have this philosophy because that's who I am. And if you are who you are, then it'll be fine. But if you try to go outside of that thing, it's really hard to coach people and keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to keep people happy. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think pulling out of that, the fact that it's not going to be perfect and just start is really important. And I remember not on kind of a related note, I was talking to one of my buddies a while ago. He wanted to start a podcast.
Right. I
and
know.
he kept telling me about his plan.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like
Yeah.
the last 5 times we've talked, it's been 3 months, and we've keep talking about your plan. It's like, it's just start, dude.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to start it perfect and it's going to be perfect, it's not going to be perfect. So as a coach, if you don't have a lot of experience, you need the experience. You need to make the mistakes so you can figure out how to start tweaking stuff.
Right.
So have a rough outline of what you
Yeah.
think you're going to do. I'm not saying go in without any plan, like make a plan, but then go and let's start doing it. Take the action so that you can find out where you're wrong and you can start to fix it.
Yeah.
And the key to that is you have to be honest as a coach too, especially when you're not experienced. People are going to come to you, kids are going to ask you questions, parents are going to ask you questions, and sometimes you won't know the answer, and you should be able to say, I don't know the answer. Having the humility to say that because you are just starting out as a coach. So you don't need to be embarrassed or insecure about that part of it because you know that you don't have the experience yet. So come by it honestly, do the best that you can do, but don't be so caught up about it being perfect that it keeps you from doing as good a job as you could do because you're just really concerned about it needs to be perfect and ideal because it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So
So I would say, like, if you're starting, especially if you're brand new to coaching, I would say have an idea about hockey. It's important, a little bit, anyways. You know, like even if you have to take and I think most organizations do have some sort of course to teach you a
like
little
a
bit of hockey,
certification thing,
and
yeah.
there's some resources. So you got to just figure out which ones work the best for you. But it's just to get used to that kind of stuff. And then when you're going in there, kind of have a philosophy, right? So the philosophy being like, I think if you're coaching 8-year-old house league or like a low level travel, I don't know if your emphasis, or even AAA, I don't know if your emphasis needs to be on winning. I think it should be more on development, and winning can be a byproduct if you do things properly.
Yep.
And but I think it should be mostly skill development, and you sprinkle some hockey systems and processes in there, like how to break out properly, like maybe even forechecking a little bit, but nothing too crazy as a young guy.
Just
You got to let them
position stuff,
go play some hockey,
Yeah.
right? And with a lot of skill work. And then as you move up to 13 or let's say you start at 7 or 8-year-old kids, and then as you move up to higher levels and higher age groups, then obviously just doing skill work doesn't make a good hockey team. The kids want to actually learn how to play hockey too. So you want to learn and brush up and add a little bit of system work as you move along. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So would you say that